YouTube. This is Cubs Life here with a video and to inform you of the best way to water your lawn and exactly how much water you should be putting down in your new seed to increase the odds of it germinating. Make sure you stick around to the very end and get some great advice on exactly how much water you should be laying down in your brand new seed and what types of water schedules you should be sticking to from the time you lay your new seed down, from the transition zone when it's germinating until it's more fully established. Let's get this informative tutorial on the way, and make sure you stick around to the very end and get some bonus tips on exactly how to water. With new grass seed, the aim is to keep the soil damp and not completely saturated. It is best to keep the new seed so it doesn't dry out and not do what most people do and turn their yards into a lake and eventually drowning out the seed. Yes, you heard me correctly. There is such a thing as actually killing off your brand new grass seed before it has a chance to turn into a beautiful green lawn. This is why you want to water about 2 to 3 times a week for roughly about 5 to 10 minutes each time, depending on exactly how much water your sprinkler actually lays down. This way you're not gonna oversaturate the ground. You're just gonna basically putting enough water down in order to account for all the evaporation, and that way there's enough water. The best way to do it is with a sprinkler system that is gentle, kind of like that DIY sprinkler system I have set up back there, or like that oscillating sprinkler that I have back there. And the reason that those are great is because you want to try to stay away from impact sprinklers, because they tend to lay down a lot of water at one time, causing, like, I would say kind of like a pooling effect in the ground. It's laying down so much water at one time that it can't fully be absorbed into the ground, so it starts to pool up on top. And what happens is the seed will kind of tend to float up and then get washed away. That is why you want something that's more gentle. I mean, don't get me wrong, impact sprinklers are awesome, and I have a few of them myself, but when it comes to overseeding or a full lawn renovation, I would definitely try to steer clear of those. I highly recommend you pick up a set of rain gauges to lay down in your yard. That way you know exactly how much water your sprinkler system is laying down per hour. And I have a link in the description to exactly the rain gauges that I'm using. It's just these little cheap things that I picked off of Amazon. It measures about 1 inch of water, which will be perfect for your sprinkler system. You don't really need too much more. And the reason it's great to have those things laid down, so that way you can figure out exactly how much your sprinkler is putting down per hour to avoid the oversaturation and having the water pooling up and your seed floating away. When it's brand new, I would say you probably only want to get like maybe an 1/8 of an inch of water down at one time, and do that multiple times a day to prevent that seed from drying out. And then once it actually has roots and the plant is not going to float away, then I would suggest laying down 1/4 inch of water and just keep upping it from there. And then pretty soon you'll be laying down 1 inch of water a week, exactly like the grass needs. Generally what I like to do is, when I'm overseeding, is to water about 3 times daily for about 15 minutes each session. Unless we get one of those rare days in the fall where the temperature will spike super high, then I'll tend to get out there 4 times a day and water for about 15 minutes each time. The reason for the increase in watering times is because the main thing that you do not want to do when you're overseeding or doing a lawn renovation, just any seeding in general, is to let the seed dry out. If you let the seed dry out, then there's good chance that it will not germinate. After roughly about 2 weeks of this watering cycle, depending on exactly how much of the grass is germinated, I'll switch over to a more deep watering. So I'll cut it back to two times a week for roughly about 30 minutes each cycle. The reason you want to do this is because you want to train those roots to drive way down in the ground. And the only way they do that is if the water is down there for them to actually get. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to do little waterings every time, and the roots are going to be like, well, that deep, and the soil is going to dry out on the top, and there'll be plenty of water down below, but the grass isn't able to soak it up because the root systems are not driven down all that way. After about a week of this watering session, I'll switch over to a different routine of watering every other day for roughly about a half an hour. And I'll do this for roughly about another week. I'll switch over to watering twice a week for about an hour each session. And the goal here would be to lay down about 3/4 to 1 inch per week. So I'll try to dial in my sprinklers to get about a half an inch every session. That way I'm getting about an inch a week, and that's about what grass needs, about an inch of water per week. And the bonus tip is water droplet size matters. When you're using something like an oscillating sprinkler or one of those do-it-yourself sprinkler systems that I showed you, they'll tend to lay down small water droplets that are easily affected by the wind and evaporation. So these things aren't that great for overseeding, so that's why I tend to use those oscillating and the do-it-yourself sprinkler system that I showed you. But when it comes to laying down water, these things are awesome, and I highly recommend you pick up a good impact sprinkler. As always, you have a good day. This is Cubs Life signing off. Catch you in the next one. See you later.